Hey guys, how you doing? My name's Brad. I'm a holistic health coach from Queensland, Australia, and I've been part of the Keto Life community here for the last 4 years, since its inception. This video is going to be about the quality of water because the majority of us are drinking ketones every single day with water. So in my mind, it makes sense to be able to match the hatch, basically using the best quality ketones in the world with really good quality water so you can actually absorb it more and get the most bang for your buck out of the products more. So let's have a bit of a chat then now about several different things when it comes to water. Why it's important, the quality of the water that you're actually drinking, tap versus filtered water, bottled water, and different hacks that you can use to be able to make your water as primal as possible. So look, why is water important? Well, our bodies are made of a pretty large percentage of water, 70 to 80% depending upon what you read. And same with the earth. The earth is around about 70% water as well. So water is all around us and we can drink it, we can clean with it, we can grow our food with it, we can surf with it, we can do a lot of different amazing things with water. But because we're drinking keto every single day, let's get the best possible water that we can get into our system. So essentially when it comes to looking at the quality of water, worldwide, most of our drinkable water is pretty freaking dirty if you really look into it. There's not that many of amazing bodies of water around the world now which are drinkable like they used to be in primal times, where the water that we would drink would be coming from wells, from streams, from waterfalls, and that water would be then always running across rocks. Rocks are compressed minerals. So we're talking sodium, iron, silicon, magnesium, all these amazing things that we need to be able to make our bodies work the most efficiently as possible. It's just a lot of the water that we've got access to now is not very good. So hence, suffice to say, it makes sense then to be able to actually filter our water. So even if we're in the Western world and we have beautiful taps of water, and it doesn't have to be in the Western world, there are plenty of places in the world which have tap water. The tap water that comes through, as an amazing a feat as it actually is, contains a lot of different things that just don't belong in the human body. Let's just talk about one of them, for example, one being chlorine. Now, most people that have a pool would know that they put chlorine into their pool to be able to kill bacteria. But the thing is that a lot of other people also know that there is bacteria within the system, but they might not be so aware of the correlation between lacto-fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi, and then drinks like kombucha and kefir and things like that they're consuming to be able to put good bacteria back into their system. That's a fantastic thing to do, but then if you're always backing it up by drinking a lot of chlorinated tap water, it's not really a good sort of combination going on there. So I'd highly, highly recommend that you filter your water. Now, there are a lot of water filter systems out there as far as ionizing ones and alkalinizing ones, and ones that you can connect to your tap, ones that you can connect to your whole house, mineralizing water filters, just your run-of-the-mill budget sort of ones you can get from the supermarket. Today, I'm going to talk about a couple of different ones. You've got your original sort of one that a lot of people can get from the supermarket. There's a main brand that's called Brita, $30 to $50, $60. You have to replace the filterage every sort of 5 weeks, 6 weeks or so, depending on how much water that you're using. But at least that's going to get rid of a lot of the chlorine that's in there, amongst other things that are in there like fluoride and a whole heap of other things. I won't even talk about fluoride in this video, but if you want to know more about or educate yourself more about fluoride, go to fluoridealert.org. But essentially when it comes down to water, that's just a really good, easy place to start. My other favorite filters outside of those ones then are what are called a mineralizing water filter. I've got 2 of these in my house. There's a range of different products that are out there that you can get, liters in the market. But I love these sorts of filters because essentially to be able to make this water as primal as possible and to be able to make the tap water that I get as clean for my body to be able to use, especially with my ketones, then you put your tap water in the top here. There's a ceramic filter up there that basically sort of breaks down into very small particles. And then there's, depending upon the type of filter system you've got, it could be 5 to 7 levels more of different types of charcoal and rocks and stuff that filter out even more impurities. And then that water then sits on top of 2 different types of rocks. So I mentioned before about how water from a primal perspective is always moving across compressed minerals, rocks, mineralizing the water. So basically the water is sitting on these 2 different types of rocks and you're getting nutrition to your water. It's becoming alive. So essentially you're getting things like I mentioned before, sodium, magnesium, iron, silicon, a lot of really, really good stuff. And then it comes out this little filter system through there, and it's a very easy way to be able to do it. So look them up on the net if you're interested in those sorts of things. Now, if you're not prepared or you don't have the money yet to be able to get something in this range, in the hundreds of dollars to be able to get, and there's extra filtering parts that you have to sort of buy every 6 months to 3 years, one of the things that I highly recommend is that whatever water it is that you're going to be drinking, add a pinch of sea salt to it. So this is Himalayan sea salt. So real salt is supposed to be colored pink, gray, like Celtic sea salt as well. Salt is not bleached, it's not white. We bleach it to be able to look pretty and nice, but the thing is that the colors basically indicate the mineralization that is in the salt. Putting a pinch of that into like a liter of water that you drink is a really, really good idea, because basically salt is at the root of a metabolic process called osmosis. Think back to that word in science if you can remember it. Osmosis allows us to be able to shuttle nutrition and water in and out of all of our cells, and where salt goes, water follows. You need salt to be able to make that happen. So an absence of salt in your diet, good quality salt like that, can be a problem for a lot of people. So if you don't have a filter and you're unable to actually filter at home and then carry the water around with you, and you have to buy your own water, then I'd highly recommend that you look at certain types of water that especially, number one, come in glass or plastic, hard plastic at that. The crumply sorts of plastic ones that you do not want to be able to drink out of. I'll tell you why. Basically, the easy way you could do it is that fill these up with water, put them into your car, and at the end of a hot summer's day, come back and drink them, and you'll notice the big difference. The difference in the taste, especially with the ones that are plastic. Especially the ones with soft plastic. What's happening there is that the plastic is going through a process where it's breaking down, it's leaching into the water, and what's happening is that you've got these man-made estrogens called xenoestrogens that come from the plastic. They then go into your water. Your body doesn't know what that stuff is, and it'll basically store a lot of that sort of stuff inside fat cells to be able to protect your central nervous system. Your body's pretty smart at the end of the day. So glass before plastic, harder plastic bottles if you do have to get it, and also brands that are more well known because they fly off the shelves a lot more, as opposed to getting one that's lesser known that's sitting on the shelf there for ages in hot storage within the supermarket or wherever you're getting it from. Now, another thing to consider when you're actually buying water, or at least looking at good quality water, is something that's called total dissolved solids. Now, this is mentioned in a book called Healthy Water by Dr. Martin Fox, and he talks about hard water versus soft water. But in this case, when it comes to talking about total dissolved solids, it's about looking at the nutrition that's actually in the water, all of those minerals that I mentioned before. Now, there are a lot of bottles that actually have this written on the actual bottle. So in this particular one here, it'll be there, and it essentially lists out things like sulfates, bicarbonates, calcium, magnesium, chloride. If you add all of those numbers up together from the work of Dr. Martin Fox, he basically says that any sort of water that has a total dissolved solids count of 300 milligrams per liter or more is considered to be a pretty alive water, a really good water. Well, with this particular brand of water here, it's at 854. There's a lot of life in this water, and it actually comes from the real source. This is another one that I like as well, artesian water, and essentially same thing it has in the bottom left at the back there. This is at 222, so it's not 300, but in comparison to a lot of other crappy waters that are out there that really don't have anything in them at all, it's something to really consider. Next thing I want to talk about is, are you hungry or are you dehydrated? There's a lot of people out there that are pretty damn dehydrated because they're drinking alcohol and they're drinking caffeine, and they're not really just drinking much water at all. Now they're throwing ketones into the mix, and ketones are a diuretic like alcohol and caffeine. So you're gonna go to the toilet a lot more, and if you're not replenishing that with just good clean water outside of the other things that you're drinking and juices and whatever other things, energy drinks you might be drinking, it's really, really important then to know that in a lot of cases where you think you might be hungry, you might actually just be thirsty. So have a drink first, wait 10 to 15 minutes for that actual signal to be sent to the brain to say, hey, yeah, I've actually filled up the stomach, I was actually just thirsty, I'm not hungry, then actually eat afterwards. So when it comes to water, how much should you really be drinking? More than you are now. That's basically the easy answer. But if you want to get a little bit more technical, you can look into the work of a guy named Dr. Batman Gilic. He has a book called Your Body's Many Cries for Water, and he states in that book that he looks at, or he encourages people to be able to drink their body weight in water, their body weight in kilograms times 0.033 milliliters. So for a lot of people, that's going to be sort of anywhere from 1 to 3 liters of water. But like I said, in general, you just need to be drinking more than you probably are. But for a lot of people, I encourage my clients to be able to be having at least, a cup of water 10 to 15 minutes before they have any sort of meal. So there you go, guys. I've tried to keep that as short as possible. The goal was under 5 minutes at the beginning. I don't know how I've actually gone with this, but I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please put your comments in the below, tag some people to get this information, and I'll be providing some more video information in the future from a holistic health perspective.